Child, this is Legally Everywhere. Well, we what? We looking into everything. This is the Project 25 miniseries. This is episode, what is episode 6? Are we getting into what? The discussion of big tech and how it's indexed in Project 25. I find it very interesting that there's a lot of support for it, even though we saw what happened with Elon Musk and Gruder or Grook or whatever it is. I'll index that in the video, right? We saw that there are currently other countries looking and saying what is happening. They're putting limitations on what AI is being used. We have seen the impact of deep fakes. We saw what happened with the Megan Thee Stallion case, right? We saw what happened with the other case where Paris Hilton even was involved in the press conference around it, right? So we see that this is a big impact, that maybe we want a little bit of censorship, right? Especially because there's discussions of sexual exploitation, right? Concerned with how that is being generated with children. What I find really interesting is that the First Lady is showing off a robot who is being controlled, of course, by AI, right? And they want that to be used for homeschool parents so they can use it to substitute for a teacher. Meanwhile, teachers are asking for funding and support to help them be able to facilitate doing their job. And what do? Well, we have robots powered by AI, which we already know currently right now needs a little bit more limitation. And I don't know, maybe a little bit more oversight, especially around children. Homeschool settings probably have a little less oversight than traditional school settings. So these are things that we will be monitoring and looking into for sure, right? Because we already seen what happened to that one site that the kids was on, right? We saw what happened there. They now have a whole case that's going on with that. So we're going to monitor. But let's look at what Project 25 said about big tech. Look at this. America is not an economy. It's a country. Economic freedom is not the only important freedom. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and the freedom to assemble also represent key components of the American promise. Today, in addition to the problem of big tech censorship, Project 25 alignment, you guys. Project 25 alignment. We have several receipts, several recent news articles. We've had a lot of conversation about deep fakes and different things like that popping up in the news, right? Project 25 alignment. Current conversation about the Gruder, that Elon Musk product, right? The censorship, right? Happening in multiple countries. There's the news that came out about this very specific AI, and there was a conversation about limiting access. The problem is so many readers' articles have been coming out today. I don't even know if I could locate that one. Let me just pull it up. If I see the name, I'll know exactly. I know it started with a C. I will tag it and index it later because I'm here all day, y'all. But just know that once again, what we have Project 25 alignment. Because what we get into these receipts, we can see. So says today, in addition to the problem of big tech censorship, we see speakers at universities shouted down, parents investigated and arrested for attempting to speak at school board meetings, and donors to conservative causes harassed and intimidated. The next conservative president must defend our First Amendment right. Okay, heavy stuff. We have a heavy level of indexing just with that section, right? A lot of Project 25 alignment is being seen. Now, a lot of the news that you've seen me putting on the Legally Everywhere channel, they're starting to directly connect to this Project 25 document, the guidance that was offered. So now that was the second reference, right? This is one of the bigger sections. So now the other ones will actually be smaller. Just so you know. Okay. This is directly going to take us there, right? So let's just jump really quick. Because as I told you, this particular document will shoot us right there. I know that we're on the third one. So hopefully, I don't think it'll allow me to do it because I'm in view mode. Let's see. Let's see, you guys. Is it going? I know you should be able to see, like right here, there is a link. It doesn't appear to be letting me do that. But if you go touch the document, these are direct links. These are direct links. Okay? Direct links. So now we're moving into a new section. Okay? Let's go to number 4. So 3 and 4 were all in here, right? So we hear about this woke public diplomacy, right? We see Venezuela right here. This is a Reuters article. I'll show you Reuters current events. Actually, for the sake of conversation, I can show you what it looks like right now. Right, you're gonna see some of the environment relevant to connections to. Once you kind of see, like, well, I'm not pulling this out on the update my tracker. That's why I saw this. So taking this up, we see Venezuela is on page in the digital copy. The digital copy is what I had be accessible. This should be the ICE section. I told you it was very interesting that Venezuela was indexed under the ICE section. We've also covered that content. I have a lot more receipts I haven't put up yet. I'm really big on packaging, so I wanted to give that a moment. But yeah, we definitely talked about this portion right here before, okay? So I'm scrolling through. Okay, so here we go. We're under the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So this is ICE. Needed reforms. Since the formation of DHS, ICE increasingly been tasked with auxiliary missions that have little or nothing to do with their either immigration or custom enforcement. To return ICE to its primary mission, any new administration that wish to restore the rules of law to our immigration enforcement efforts should order ICE to stop closing out pending immigration cases and apply the Immigration National Act, INA, as Congress. Right? They said the Biden administration closed out tens of thousands of immigration cases that had already been prepared and were slated for expedited removal process or hearing before the U.S. Immigration Court. The misguided action constituted as egregious examples of lawlessness that allow thousands of illegal aliens and other immigration violators to go free in the United States. The next portion is direct ICE to stop ignoring criminal aliens identified through the 287G program. We have discussed the 287G program before, right? We went and looked at MOUs on this YouTube channel, right? Feel free to go look at that video. It's a quick walkthrough of the website and just looking at some of those MOUs that they have available public information. Ultimately, it states, Congress should prevent ICE from ignoring criminal aliens identified by local law enforcement agencies that are partnered in the 287G program. However, before congressional action, ICE should be directed to take custody of all aliens with records for felonies, crimes of violence, DUIs, previous removal, and any other crimes that is considered a national security and public safety threat as defined under current laws. Okay? Very interesting. Eliminate T and U visas. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Eliminate T and U visas. Victimization should not be a bias for an immigration benefit. If an alien who was trafficking or a crime victim is actively and significantly cooperating with law enforcement as a witness, the S visa is already available and should be used. Pending elimination of the T and U visa, the Secretary should significantly restrict eligibility for each visa to prevent fraud. Very interesting. Issue clear guidance regarding detention and bond for aliens. I don't like the term alien, so apologies if I kind of delay or sound stuttered. I usually just flip it to a different, term, but I'm going to read it as written. Thousands of illegal aliens are allowed to bond over immigration detention, only to disappear into the interior of the United States, where many commit crimes and many others disappear, never to be heard from again. This occurs primarily because of poorly worded bond regulations, contradictory bond policy memoranda, and poor practice for managing release aliens and the alternative detention, so the ATD program, which requires significant reform. Prioritizing national security in the student and exchange visitor program, so the CEVP. ICE should end its current cozy deference to educational institutions and remove security risks from the program. This requires working with the Department of State to eliminate or significantly reduce the number of visas issued to foreign students from enemy nations. Okay, once again, posturing. Very important when we talk about posturing, because it's saying enemy nations, okay? And most of the foregoing could be accomplished rapidly and effectively through executive action. We're talking a lot about executive action with posturing, but this is specifically saying it's calling for executive action that is both lawful and appropriate. Additional, I should clarify who is responsible for enforcing its criminal and civil authorities. It should also remove self-imposed limitations on its nationwide jurisdiction. Okay. So we're going to kind of move forward through this. I want to address some of the other direct pieces with the Venezuela content that we've been posting, a lot of the ICE things that we have been seeing. There is mapping that can happen to Project 25, right? Venezuela is very specifically being placed under this category. So I wanted to give us a little context as to what's happening. All right, you made it to the end. What? I told you we was going to come with them receipts. The kids say, what? We ate. What? Because we was getting to these receipts. I know you saw that, right? Alignment. So, with that being said, if you like content like this, go ahead and like the video. That lets YouTube know that you like the content and you support it being sent out to other people, so that we can make sure that this information is being accessible out in the community who it's designed for, right? If you're someone where you like, listen, I like to marinate. Listen, we do a lot of marinating on information here on this channel. That's not a problem. Stay along and stick with us. And once you're ready, go ahead, subscribe. Subscribe only when you're ready, right? If you're really excited about this content, go ahead, comment, like, subscribe, and even share it to people who you feel like would also benefit from it. Once again, that lets YouTube know that you like this content. We do a lot of breakdowns on this channel. So I'm really hoping that you like this content and that you're finding something that you like. But also note, there may be other content, other mini-series, courses and things that are on this channel that you have not yet had an opportunity to explore. Go ahead on the page, look into that. We have lots of things happening here on this site. This is Legally Everywhere, where we're what, child? We're looking into everything. This has been a very unique experience, and I will see you what in the next video, because we want to do some more breakdowns. See you then. See you there next time.